Happy Halloween, episode 8, guys. We're back. I'm Tony.
I'm Chris. And Tony, are you feeling spooky today?
I certainly am. I'm in the Halloween mood, Chris.
Absolutely. I tell you what, it's going to be a spooktacular episode, I think.
Yeah, are you a fan of Halloween, Chris?
I do like Halloween. I think I'm getting more into it the older I get.
Yeah, not usually when you're a kid, that's when you most like Halloween, because you got like the trick-or-treating thing.
I was never that into Halloween. They always gave you rubbish chocolate anyway, and I was more into that kind of Christmas thing, the build-up to Christmas. But the older I get, I mean, you can see the outfit I'm wearing. Obviously, our listeners can't see it, but check out the YouTube afterwards. I've got a really fantastic Halloween outfit on today.
Yeah, it looks like you've been involved in something that's quite serious there, Chris.
Yeah, it's all allegations, Danny, as we've learned on this podcast.
I mean, there's no evidence here, clearly.
No.
But as you can see, Chris, can you see that I've gone for a jog of some sort?
Yeah, it looks like you've been doing a lot of intense training or maybe some sort of games.
Yeah, it's like I've gone to South Korea and involved in some type of game, involved in some type of sea creatures, it sounds like. But yeah, if people don't know, it's quite obviously it's Squid Game related.
Squid Game.
But yeah, I mean, in terms of Halloween, I haven't had anyone knock on my door for quite a few years. I'm not sure if it's the change in terms of safety, which we always promote on these podcasts. Is safety first. I don't know. I feel like parents aren't too keen letting their kids go and knocking on strangers' doors.
I think it's only your door, Tony.
Possibly, but I don't know. It's something that I've noticed that over the years it's become less common. I'm not complaining. I mean, I will buy some sweets, but there's not a case where many years ago, I remember my mum had to, we ran out of sweets. We had to give out fruit from the fruit bowl because we were knocking on the doors. We had nothing else to give them.
A grey beach.
Yeah, I remember a big orange. Going, here you go. They seem great.
And they'd have a segment each from the orange, right?
Oh, I mean, they could split amongst themselves, but. Yeah, I mean, obviously Halloween's all about scary things, monsters and ghosts. But there was actually quite a funny video funny, scary, whatever you want to call it, video that I saw online. And I guess the video kind of showed, first of all, a green lawn. And I was like, okay, what is this?
Okay. Pristine.
Yeah, it looked like an American lawn. And then it was panning across the lawn. And then suddenly there were kind of like... written signs on the grass, and then I was reading what the sign said, and it said student loans, cost of food, gas prices, rent, and debt. So I thought, that was quite funny because, let's be honest, Chris, those are the things that are scaring people at the moment, not like ghosts or monsters.
Cost of living.
Yeah, cost of living, not being able to pay their debts, student loans. In America, they're having to kind of restart those payments.
Unless you went to Pennsylvania. We touched on that a few years ago, where Biden's written off the student loans for Pennsylvania. But yeah, absolutely. Gas prices, you mean petrol prices, Tanya?
Yeah, I mean, you're correct. In the UK, we should be calling them petrol or diesel. No, petrol. Just petrol prices.
Petrol,
But yeah, I think...
something's got to be done about it, especially rent. I'm hearing from people renting and the cost of rent in London. I mean, a few years ago, I had my own place in London, in Walthamstow, for $900 a month. And now I think that would be one of the biggest bargains out there. People paying upwards of $2,000 for a one-bed.
Oh, yes, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, that's why we're doing this podcast, is to these people might consider playing the lottery, which can solve their problems, basically.
Don't waste your money on rent. Waste it on the lottery, and you might actually get a really good outcome at the end of it. But yeah, that was scary, Tony. And with it Halloween, the clocks went back. They always do just before Halloween usually. And I was thinking they went back 1 hour, but I wish they could have gone back a little bit more than that. I'm getting old, Every year I can't believe where it goes. And I'm just thinking, I wish they went back a little bit more than 1 hour. It is a bit of a relentless march to the grave, isn't it, Tony? And Halloween just brings that to life even more.
Yeah, it does get depressing when you kind of leave for work and it's dark. You get home and it's dark, right?
Yes.
So
the one advantage is, with the clocks going full back, they went backwards, is that it's a little bit lighter when you wake up in the morning for a while. But yeah, once we get around Christmas time, it's going to be dark in the morning, dark in the evening.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing is that you're looking forward to Christmas because I guarantee now that after when Halloween's over, you start looking at the shops and they're ready or they're stocked up for Christmas.
I've seen it all over the place already.
I'm not complaining. I
Advent
like it.
calendars. I like it. It gets you through the winter, basically.
I like a mince pie. You know, whenever, even before Christmas.
Yeah, I actually bought my first pack of mince pies yesterday. But okay, say what you like, but the mince pies that I normally really enjoy are the Heston mince pies from Waitrose.
Oh,
they're a bit more classy, because you get fed up with the usual mince pie, and he does some inventive kind of lemon or orange flavours. But what I've noticed, they said maybe someone from Waitrose can get in touch with us. What I saw yesterday, very similar to the Heston mince pies, but not branded with Heston.
Oh yeah.
But they look identical, and they're cranberry mince pies without Heston's name. So have Waitrose and Heston parted ways.
Oh.
Maybe someone from Waitrose can set the record straight on this, because I wouldn't like to think they're ripping off Heston Blumenthal.
Well, yeah, something to look into. But you're going to enjoy whatever sweet treats are available, right?
Absolutely.
You would feel better knowing that,
I don't want Heston Blumenthal getting ripped off. That's all I care about.
You want everything above board.
I want everything above board, and we know that he's really struggling with that place, the Fat Duck we talked about last week, where it only costs £800 or £900 for two people.
Right. I mean, if you win the lottery, you can actually go and experience that, right, Chris?
Absolutely.
But with Halloween, and we talk about things that scare us. I mean, sometimes being scared isn't a bad thing. Some of the quotes that I saw online, I found them quite inspiring, Chris, was, if I could read them out to you.
Please do.
If your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. So I thought that quote was quite interesting, that it says that, sometimes being scared is a good thing. That means you're thinking big. So it's something that's worthwhile. So that was something that I thought, let's not think small here. Let's think big. Let's think about 10.8 million big. It seems like a dream, but it's possible. If you've got a ticket, it's possible.
You're in it to win it. The minute you've got a ticket.
Another one that I saw was fear is the thief of dreams. So again, don't let your fears kind of immobilize you for going for what going after your dreams or what you want to go for. So whether you want to ask out that guy, girl, whatever, go for that job, start that business, buy those 50 lottery tickets, whatever can make your dreams come true. Don't let the fear of it stop you from doing that. And
this is my favourite one too, your final one. Yeah, Jack Canfield, this one.
Go on, I'll let you go on. Chris.
I'll go
it out.
Everything you want is on the other side of fear. And I think that's very apt, and maybe I like that because it's the easiest one to get your head around.
It's true. I mean, one of the things is that fear stops us from doing stuff, and sometimes it's a good thing. If there is a scary figure in the distance in the alleyway, you're like, maybe I shouldn't go down there because he might have a knife or whatever.
Fight or flight. And sometimes that is the right instinct. But there are some occasions when fight or flight isn't the right instinct. We've got to fight against that.
Exactly. Who knows, if you actually say, oh, I'm not scared of walking down the alleyway because it's my shortest route home, it might be someone that could be your future best mate who sets you up for a job or who invests in your business. You start having a conversation. You don't know.
So what you're saying is, if you are very late at night, on your own down a dark alleyway and you see someone shady coming towards you, always engage in conversation with them.
Just, explore the possibility that it might be a good thing, not a bad thing.
Just make sure you always have a knife in your sock.
Yeah. Make sure you, there are other people around. Right?
Yeah.
But no, in all seriousness, make the correct judgment. I would say nine times out of 10, if there's another route, rather than going down a dark alleyway, take the other route.
Or what you could do is back out of the alleyway into a well-lit public space where lots of people are around, wait for that character to come out, and then engage them in conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Or, what I was thinking? Start the video camera on your phone so it's there being filmed.
Yeah.
So it's almost like I'm filming you, by the way, so this goes straight to the cloud. So if anything happens
this
to
is
me,
backing up in. I'm on Facebook Live.
yeah, I'm streaming.
I am on Facebook Live, right? That's a great idea.
Yeah. By the way, how are you tonight? Good night.
Yeah. But you know what? This is one of the great things about those new Ray-Bans, and we touched on this a few weeks ago of the metaverse thing. You know, Facebook, Meta, Ray-Bans, where you can actually record. You just go, and it's recording on your Ray-Bans, so everything you look at. So that's one thing you can do. I don't know if they have them on their glasses as well, but you just say that. By the way, I'm on Facebook Live with my Meta Ray-Bans right now.
Yeah.
Say hi. It's a great way to, you know, if you are the victim of some kind of theft or assault or anything, just feeling threatened, just say, oh, by the way, we're both on Facebook Live right now. Say hi. I've got 10 million viewers.
Yeah, and you know what? You've got two arms. Now you've got two hands to defend yourself if things do kick off.
Yeah.
That does make sense. You sound like you are giving props to Zuckerberg now.
You
come
No,
around.
I said it on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. That one I like, those Ray-Bans where you can record. Because imagine you're on holiday. You don't need to take out your phone and take 1,000 different photos. You just say to the missus, look, I've taken millions of photos all day long.
It's true.
And you can look through them when we get home.
You might want to turn them, but you might want to turn them off if you go to the toilet or something, right? You might forget.
Do
you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. In most instances.
Cut that out.
In most instances.
Yeah. Okay, great. So if we move on to segment one, which is last Saturday's Lotto result. So
spooky, because it was a huge amount of money. And the reason it's spooky is I'm hoping no one bloody won it, Tony, because it's just... We've been talking about it since we started this podcast.
Yeah.
We want to see this jackpot really go up.
Yeah.
Mostly because more people are going to listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
But equally, it just gets us pumped. So I'm really hoping nobody won it.
Well, Chris, I mean, you were excited at 7.1 million last week.
Yeah.
I mean, it's snowballing in a sense. So it's 10.8, and I will say ahead of time that nobody's won it.
Yes!
This week. So it's going to roll.
But wait,
up
that means
even
we
more.
didn't win as well.
No, well, we unfortunately we didn't win.
Okay,
So,
well, if we didn't win, as long as nobody else does.
yeah. So it's going to snowball into, it could get close to 20
This
at
is
some point.
compound growth, and I think we're going to touch on that a little bit later. And it's like that old thing of if you fold a piece of paper, I think 21 times or 12 times or something, it will go to the moon.
Yeah.
And that, people look at me when I say that, they think you're crazy, Chris. No, if you fold a piece of paper that many times, it will go to the moon. So yeah, is it 12 or 21? We'll have to have a look.
Something like that. There's something like you can't physically fold a piece of paper 8 times.
It's impossible.
I tried it. You can't fold it 8 times. Yeah.
Yeah, we should probably try that again next week.
Yeah. No,
I don't believe you. I think
I'll do it.
At least 10.
I'll do it next week. It's very hard to fold 8 times. But let's, for the formalities, I mean, what were the winning numbers? Last Saturday it was 25, 28, 37, 38, 42, 50, and bonus ball 6. Machine name was Merlin.
Again.
Yeah, Magical Merlin. Bull set 6.
So bull set of 6? That
highest.
sounds extraterrestrial now, Tony. That is weird.
Yeah, it's good. I've never seen a 6 so far on the podcast. What were my numbers? So there were 2, 12, 20, 22, 40, and 41. So no matches, but as we mentioned, that there's no winners of the jackpot, so it's gonna roll over.
Well, that's what I mean. Obviously, we haven't won, but as long as nobody else has. I wonder where we're going wrong. Maybe because we haven't mentioned Daniel Khalif for a few weeks.
Yeah.
We got a lucky
totally
dip
forgot
when
about
he
him.
was on.
Yeah. We should check in how's he doing. What's the progress?
Maybe we can start writing to him as part of a feature on the podcast.
We can ask him for some numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
Why not? So it was 10.8 million. I mean, like, what could you do with 10.8, Chris?
Well, Tony, this is the thing. So I got really excited when I saw it was 10 million. And I want to let you know that with £10 million, that amount of money is enough to put you in the top 1% of wealthy people in the UK or the US.
Wow.
£10 million. And then another point. So we talk about investing that money into the stock market. So if you had £10 million, I know we're saying the jackpot's 10.8, but let's say you're very patient, stick with it. £10 million invested with returns of 5% each year, that's 500 grand you're making on the stock market every year. Now, some people say, okay, that's only if you get 5%. Obviously, it's not guaranteed.
Yeah.
It's going to be volatile. But actually, if you look at UK shares, I'm not even talking about global shares or US shares, but UK shares have generated returns of around 5% above inflation between 1921 and 2021, which actually was enough to double your money every 14 and a half years. So yeah, just letting you know, 10 million at that rate of return, 5%, 500 grand in your bank account every year. If we then talk again about compound returns that I was talking about earlier, let's say from that 500 grand that you've earned, you chuck in 100 grand of that as well.
Yeah.
After 5 years, with the magic of compound growth, right, which is that whole thing of if you fold a piece of paper however many times it'll reach the moon, that amount of money, so again, you've put in 10 million, you're adding 100 grand every year. After 5 years, that compounds to £13.4 million. You've gained £2.9 million for doing nothing.
Wow. So what I gathered from that, Chris, is that if you got 10.8 million, you're going to be all right.
You're probably going to be all right.
Okay, that's good. Oh, that's great. I mean, this is a perfect example of just showing, our listeners out there that money makes money.
That's what I think.
And if you've got more money, you've got to make more money.
I mean, just, to reiterate that again, if you've got 10 million for doing absolutely nothing, you're likely to get maybe 500 grand extra per year. 500 grand!
For just sitting down, having a few cocktails, having dinner.
And that compound growth, just to reiterate that, all you're doing is you've got your 10 million, you put 100 grand in per year for 5 years, you've gained 2.9 million out of that for doing nothing on that basis of 5% returns. So, whew.
Wow, that is something that is that's just music to my ears, Chris. Just hearing that.
What I would say is it just proves why we're doing this week in, week out.
Perfect. All right, if we move on to segment 2, so
topic of the week.
It is indeed, Chris. So our topic of the week is Halloween themed. So it's scary secrets of the rich.
Oh, that is spooky as well. My goodness.
Yeah, I mean, when you got a lot of money, you can do a lot of things that normal people can't do, or you might be exposed to quite scary things that, us common folk probably don't see and only see in the movies.
And this is, we've spoken about this before, I think, where you always want more.
Yeah.
You always want a little bit more. And I think the problem is once you get a crazy amount of money, you can pretty much do anything. So maybe we shouldn't mock the people who went on that Titanic submarine.
Yeah.
Maybe that was a more constructive way to do something a bit out of the ordinary, certainly compared to some of these scary rich people who have dark secrets.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, when you're got loads of money, like millions or billions, and we all talk about how the other half live.
Yeah.
We're just thinking of stuff like, oh yeah, they've got nice houses. Yes, they eat at nice restaurants. They have nice clothes and things and cars. But what else do they get up to? It's like they, everything does have a price in the sense that you go, no, I could just chuck a load of money and get someone to do something that is a little bit questionable, a bit dark, or
but
they might have fantasies that they can actually afford to act out. So one thing that comes to mind, when we talk about horror movies and stuff like that is, have you seen that movie called Hostel?
Yeah.
So, for those that haven't seen it, I don't want to give out spoilers, but I'm gonna have to just to make my point.
So just skip ahead 1 minute if you've never watched it.
So skip ahead now. But basically, from what I remember, is that there was a load of pretty much backpackers going through Eastern Europe, and they get lured by these good-looking girls. I mean, who don't?
There's a lot of good-looking girls in Eastern Europe.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree. And obviously, they're like, well, we're probably in here. This is a great holiday. Talk about amazing holidays. And then suddenly these guys find themselves kind of tied up in a chair in these dungeons. And what you find out is that they're getting tortured. And who's doing the torturing? Rich people.
Of course.
They're being sold to rich people to kind of torture them because, these rich people have, I guess they have all the finer things in life. They're like, what's the next high? Look, I've got the house, I've got the car, I've done my cocaine, I've done all the drugs. Like, what's the next thing? I want to feel the high of inflicting pain on a real life human. So that got me...
Common folk,
and, and nobody... I'm untouchable.
And what did that get you? Did that get you a bit excited, aroused?
I was like, how much exactly does that cost? But,
How much do I need to win on the lottery?
I'm just saying, like, could that be real life? I don't know. A lot of people go missing. I'm just saying, a lot of people go missing these days. Poor folk in different countries are like, where have they gone?
I mean, Tony, we see it all the time. I was walking along in the city of London the other day, and they had quite a lot of people's faces up missing. These people have just gone missing from their home.
Yeah.
And of course, you hear about these high-profile mystery cases.
Yeah.
We all know Maddie McCann, for example, or do you remember the lady, I think, earlier this year who went missing walking her dog?
Vaguely.
You remember that? That was a bit of a mystery for a while until they did find the body.
Yeah.
But there are many, many, many more cases that don't go high profile. So what happens to them?
That's the question.
Yeah.
That is the question. I mean, like, my immediate kind of thoughts are, this is probably from my dad. He thinks as soon as someone goes missing, depends what part of the world it is, they're getting harvest for organs. Is that something that, the rich people, like, if you're a rich person and you're like, I need a liver, I'm not going to get on an NHS or even private healthcare. I need to go to a different supplier that can get me that off the black market. And how do they get that?
Maybe even the dark web.
The dark web. So, yeah, that's, hostel is something that pops into mind. Is that a real life thing?
Oh, it is, trust me.
If it is, and I'm going to ask you a direct question, Chris. If you want 10.8 million, would you pay to torture someone?
Tony,
you don't have to answer that.
I am a pacifist, so absolutely not. But yeah, I think it's a really interesting psychological question I think you phrased it really well before. Where do you get the next high? And I think, you're talking about scary secrets of the rich. Probably we might touch on later Epstein, which is horrendous. But these are the questions of, how did this happen? Is it something of, you've got all that wealth, all the wealth in the world, or was it always innate in this guy? We don't know, but I certainly wouldn't pay to torture someone.
Yeah,
people normally pay me to torture them.
Yeah, I wouldn't even do that. I wouldn't even do the thing where they put the feather against the feet and they say that's torture. Yeah, I wouldn't even do that.
Oh, that is torture. That really is torture. That would be torture. Someone tickling your feet. That is, yeah.
But then we're going into the realms of, like, you talked about Epstein, and he could be the tip of the iceberg. Clearly he didn't work alone. Like, how did the logistics of this happen? There's a demand. There clearly must be a demand of this type of thing.
There was the little black book, and we still haven't. Ghislaine Maxwell, obviously, I think, has refused to reveal who else was in this little black book. People are saying, will it be too surprising if she winds up dead in her cell sometime soon? A lot of people might be about to be exposed. We just don't know. As you say, this is the scary secrets of the rich, and it's just quite an insane story from top to bottom. Obviously, Pizza Express coming into that one in Woking, and we can't comment because a lot of these allegations are alleged. And for legal reasons, we can't say anything more.
I don't mind Pizza Express. Obviously, I'm a fan of Prezzo, but they're along the same lines.
So this is it's almost controversial, but I haven't been to Pizza Express in years.
Yeah.
But when I have been there, I thought it was all right. They make the pizza in front of you.
Yeah.
You used to be able to get a buy one, get one free voucher, I think, if you went on Money Saving Expert. It's a great place if you're in uni.
Yeah.
Whereas I have spoken to you about this before, Tony. The one time I ever went to Prezzo, I ordered a pizza with a fried egg, and they brought out a boiled egg with the pizza. And that is the reason I never went back. But maybe it was just a one-off poor experience.
I think it's probably first guy, their first day on the job or something. They're
It might have been.
I've overcooked the egg. I mean, I don't want to throw it away. I'm sure this customer won't
He
complain.
looks uncultured. He won't be able to tell the difference.
He looks like he likes his stuff well done. Who knows? But yeah, talking about the rich and the famous, I'll go into the realms of, I guess it's more like Hollywood, and some of the things that I've always questioned is that some of these Hollywood stars,
Scientologists.
well, Tom
Many of
Cruise is
them.
a Scientologist, and another thing with Tom Cruise is that I am a fan, but he looks bloody good for his age.
He does, but what I would say, he doesn't measure up to much.
Yeah. Oh right, okay, yeah, yeah. I guess he's got a big personality and
He's
a big
probably
laugh.
slightly taller than me, so I'm going to take that back.
But what I would say about kind of Tom Cruise, or like even other actors, like what are they doing that's keeping them young? And one of the conspiracy theories, I'm not sure if you heard about, is this drug called adrenochrome. So do you know what adrenochrome is?
I've heard about it. I'm not 100% in the know on what this whole thing is. You know my view, Tony.
Yeah.
There are some conspiracy... I'm not generally somebody into conspiracy theories. There are some that could be plausible. Is Tupac still alive? Maybe. Is Elvis still alive? Probably.
Yeah.
But, many of these kind of large-scale conspiracy theories around the elites, etc., my view on it is, who's really gaining out of these weird conspiracy theories? Because these elites, they have it all already, and they can just... But anyway, I suppose we touched on it. Where do you get your next high? So, Tony, please, tell us all about the adrenochrome conspiracy theory.
So I find this very interesting. So the adrenochrome conspiracy theory is all about the Hollywood elites. So the Hollywood elites, are they torturing children and extracting a chemical from their bodies, which they then use as a recreational drug to stay young? Okay. So what's really disturbing about this is that it's the idea of inflicting fear and pain on these young children that actually produces this drug that they take from them. They're just using them as just, I guess, as vessels for this drug, which is quite disturbing. Apparently, it kind of, when they take it, it has this kind of power from the youth. I guess it's youthful, their youthful essence that they kind of, I don't know if they inject or they swallow it, but there is a little kind of reference to it in that Johnny Depp film. I'm not sure if you saw it. It's called
Which one is it?
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
I haven't actually seen that, I don't.
So I believe they had a little kind of pipette of this adrenochrome, and then he would just kind of put a drop on his tongue.
Okay.
But yeah, the adrenochrome conspiracy theory, it seems relatively well known. I mean, there's quite a lot of content on it online. Is there some truth to it? I'm not sure. I find it very interesting.
I mean, one of the, we know at this stage that the Hollywood elites don't really care about anyone but themselves. We've seen, obviously, we talked there about Epstein. We had Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
We've seen what he did, and lurid allegations against many other people in Hollywood. So that part, I'm down with. But the whole thing together, extracting, torturing children to extract a chemical from their bodies that we don't really know what that is. I don't know, Tony.
But one of the things I'm just thinking is, people talk about this youthful potion. Yeah, what is the fountain of youth? Does it exist?
Well, that's what if I were a detective on this case, which who knows? We don't know where the future might take us. This might happen. That's the first thing I'd ask. What is the evidence for this fountain of youth potion?
Well, the children. A lot of children go missing, right? When we talk about the Epstein situation, it's like, who was reporting these missing children? Like, where did they go? or these young girls and stuff like that. It's like
trafficking.
Trafficking, exactly. So I don't know. I just find it very interesting. It's very disturbing if that is the case. And let's be honest, when you're a Hollywood star, you are it's a different world. And I would say that there's a high pressure to stay young, to stay in the limelight. Would you do anything to stay in the limelight, to stay young?
Well, I think this is kind of what this whole thing has been about, you know, with Weinstein, Epstein. You know, people did go missing, as you say, and quite frankly, what is the difference between torturing children to extract a chemical from their bodies compared to what Epstein was doing on his island with the rest of them?
Yeah. Again, this is just
another form of torture.
Yeah.
So I know this is a conspiracy. I'm just saying, you know, there's definitely a similarity between it anyway. So maybe it's less of a stretch than we had previously thought about.
Yeah, I mean, talking about Epstein, what are your thoughts on the Epstein? Is it just the tip of the iceberg? Are there other islands?
Well, we did speak on this podcast. If I think somebody emailed in last week.
Chantel,
and Chantel said she'd buy a private island. So maybe that's a good plan. You know, I anticipate that we're going to have many millionaires off the back of this podcast who've come on this journey with us. Maybe we should buy up all of the private islands out there just to keep them safe. And I said this last week of, you know, if I buy a private island, the first thing I'm doing is building high-speed rail. Why don't we do constructive things on there? You know, test out what the best kind of high-speed rail networks, you know, just a testing ground so we can bring it back to Britain. Things like that.
I couldn't agree more. Like, I'm more in favour of high-speed rail on an island than a sex trafficking compound full of children. I mean, I'm up for that. I'm sure.
Absolutely.
I'm sure most of our listeners would agree with that. 100%.
Yeah. It's a shame Epstein wasn't into railways and train spotting and all that, because he could have done.
With all that money,
he could have built HS2, and that's what he bloody, you know, and that's what also frustrates me. I hate to bring it back to Rishi. This isn't a political thing. I don't normally get involved, but he's getting more and more on my nerves. Rishi could actually afford to build HS2 himself with his wife's.
they got. I don't know how.
Get on with it. Get on with it, for Pete's sake. But yeah, I mean, you know, obviously we're talking about these dark and spooky and somewhat frightening secrets of the rich and famous. And the other one that springs to mind as a dodgy rich guy is, of course, Donald Trump, while we're on the topic of politics. And the thing, or his deep, dark secret, you might say it's a secret, other people say it's kind of out in the open, is the whole golden shower thing. Those lurid allegations.
What's
against
a golden
him.
shower, Chris?
Well, a golden shower is to do with urine. And let me just read out the story and I'll tell you. So, what's the one thing that is the sign of somebody lying? Tony, what do you think?
I don't know, like a red face. Maybe they're kind of blubbering, or maybe they're trying to blame someone else.
Misdirect.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think another telltale sign, and maybe this is just me, of somebody who is lying about something, is when, unprompted, they bring up claims about them for no reason whatsoever. And this is something that I read about Donald Trump. So, essentially, there have been allegations in the past that there have been... Trump has had interactions with prostitutes in Moscow that may have involved them actually weeing on Donald Trump. And that's what I mean by golden shower. Before he ran for president, unprompted, Trump, at a Republican Party event in 2021, just told the crowd, by the way, I'm not into golden showers. Was that a good impression?
Yeah, it was.
And that's just a bit of a weird one, because maybe it's just me. But as I said, if you want to keep bringing up something that you're saying isn't true and everybody's forgotten about, why do you keep bringing it up?
Clearly he's trying to convince the public or himself that he's not into it. But one thing I would say is that with this golden shower, like the prostitutes are weighing on him. He's not weighing on them, or both.
I think it could be either way. I honestly don't know.
Okay.
But I thought in this one it was the case of them weighing on him, or maybe on each other. We just don't know. We need to actually look into the claims, because I think it was actually a British former intelligence officer who originally alleged. And we have to say, we don't know. We don't know what the truth is, but Trump's spoken a lot about these golden shower allegations, and when I was reading about it, he's made a big point of talking again and again about how he would never do it, and he's really worried that his wife, Melania, would have believed that it was true, and he's like, I'm not that kind of guy, I'm not that kind of guy. So it's just got that hallmark of, why do you keep talking about it, mate?
There seems to be an element of truth.
And Tony, we know he likes gold.
Oh,
Have you seen inside Trump Towers? Gold-plated everything.
There's a theme. There's a theme. I think there's a theme there, Chris.
There is.
I suppose when we talk about scary secrets,
His hair. Oh, sorry. Something scary.
I suppose that is quite scary, having Trump's pee on you.
Yeah. Well, having Trump's pee on you, definitely.
I think that would be scary.
Yeah.
Cool.
What if you were able to pee on Donald Trump?
Well, let's just... Okay, if I was put in a situation, would I want Trump to pee on me, or would I pee on Trump?
Yeah.
Obviously, I would pee on Trump.
Yeah.
But yeah, what would you do, Chris?
Oh, obviously, I would get peed on by Donald Trump. Okay, kidding. But yeah, I think that's enough of the dirty, scandalous secrets of the rich and famous. And let me tell you, they were terrifying.
They were terrifying. And again, okay, apart from the Epstein thing, that we know that was true. The others are just conspiracy theories, right?
The Epsteins have been confirmed in a court of law.
Yes.
All the rest of them are just allegations, somewhat lurid ones, but they are nonetheless simply allegations. And we cannot confirm or deny, and we need to let justice take its course.
Thank you, Chris. Moving on to segment 3, so it's all about picking next week's numbers. So if I start, Chris, I'm going to start with something about football, which you really like, and something that you like even more, and it's about Newcastle. What happened in Newcastle, Chris, this week?
Well, Newcastle, it's been a really eventful week. So I think if we go back to the previous weekend, we smashed Crystal Palace 4-0. Then we lost to Borussia Dortmund, and a good friend of ours, Tony, is a Dortmund fan. He's a German, so he was very happy about it. But really good game, and I hold my hands up. They were brilliant, Dortmund. Yeah. I really thought they were good. And then at the weekend we drew with Wolves. But amidst all of this... Sandro Tonali has been banned for 10 months from football for, I'm going to say alleged, I suppose they're no longer alleged, they're confirmed, betting crimes. So he bet on his own team, AC Milan. We don't know which way he bet on them. Hopefully he bet on them to win. But, Tony, 10-month ban, I agree with Paul Merson. And it is not very often. In fact, that is the first time I've ever said that.
Yeah.
Because I most often don't agree with the word he says. But he's got it right about this. He's somebody who's struggled with addiction himself.
Yes.
And is a 10-month ban appropriate? We know we've got to, obviously, for obvious reasons, deter people from betting on the sport if they're in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could lead to all sorts of crazy outcomes. I would say the best way to do it is just potentially a huge fine. Dependent on what their wages are, what's their salary, and then maybe like a 10-match ban or something. It's still quite a big ban. 10 months is just insane. He's out for pretty much a year now.
Newcastle holding the bag on that one. Yeah.
And, well, I have to say, conspiracy theories again, but it's all a bit weird. He left his home... his boyhood club, AC Milan, in the summer for quite a cheap fee. Yeah. I think it was like 45, 50 million pounds, which, when you compare it to people like Caicedo, went for over 100 million. And this guy's a really good player. I have a feeling that, his agent tipped off AC Milan. His agent probably said, Tonali, look, make a move. You'll get out of it if you leave Italy, because the agent wants his cut.
Yeah.
The agent tips off Milan, oh, by the way, you better get rid of him.
Yeah.
I think they were all in on it. And Newcastle are the ones who've been screwed over here.
I think so. I mean, it sounds like they probably said, "Oh, fresh slate. Get away from your demons."
Yeah.
Maybe it's you're being in AC Milan. If you get away from it all, start afresh. But I haven't looked at the details. What did he start? Is it just something that was kind of retrospective? Like they looked at what happened at AC Milan. He didn't engage any gambling. Newcastle.
As far as we know, he hasn't engaged in any gambling since he moved to the UK. So there is a question mark. So basically, FIFA have rubber stamped this ban, which means it applies globally.
Okay.
But yeah, he thought it was going to be a fresh start. It's turned into another Halloween nightmare for Sandro Tonali, Tony.
One thing that I do want to kind of say about that is that obviously we pay the lottery, and that is
a form of
gambling. It is so. Which would say
even worse odds than probably any kind of sports betting.
To be honest, yeah, you're right. You're completely right there, Chris. I think it's probably less harmful in the sense that you can't lose huge amounts.
I think it's more difficult to spiral.
Yeah,
right? A ticket costs what, £2?
£2.50 for Euro Millions.
£2,
£2 for the lotto.
And if even you're buying 10 tickets a week, it's difficult to spiral, and you can't go chasing after it an hour late. Let's say football. You start with your 12 p.m. midday kickoff, 12:30, whatever. You go on to the 3 p.m.s. Then you chase to 5:30. Then you've got the Sunday match. Then you've got Monday night football. Lottery, I think, you don't quite have that.
No, because it's not instantaneously where you know the result. It's like a lot of the guys probably, they do horse racing, football, and they might find themselves in those roulette machines. And it's very easy just to keep going, the results, let me put more money in. So I just want to say that, just be wary if you do have a gambling addiction, seek help. And
there's a lot of support out there.
Yeah, there's
when the fun stops, stop. There's a lot of support out there. But this is one of the things, and I don't touch on it, but obviously the sad death yesterday of Chandler Bing.
Yes.
Matthew Perry, I believe.
Yes, I hit a lot of people hard, I think.
He was brilliant. And he was not just brilliant in Friends and as an actor, but he covered this topic of addiction. I thought he was really great, that it really can affect you, Tony. And there's a good clip of him arguing with Peter Hitchens, who's probably the most unreasonable human being out there, about whether addiction is a choice or something you're affected by. So
I think Paul Merson is, he was affected severely by it.
He was, and I just think clearly it is a disease of the mind, Tony, and
can ruin lives. Honestly, it can definitely ruin lives. Moving on to the next number I have is 55. So this story starts off with quite a striking title that I saw, if I may. It's shit, I just got hit by a whale. So what does that mean?
Hit by a whale?
Basically a wind foiler, that's what they call it. It's not quite windsurfing, it's this kind of parachute thing. They use it to, the wind kind of carries them across the water.
Why do they need to invent new ones all the time? Pathetic. I'm glad he got body slammed by a whale.
But essentially, he got body slammed, and there's a video of it where the 55-year-old, he's getting on a bit, but he still likes to get involved in extreme sports. But he actually got slapped by a humpback whale who was just soaring through the water, and he lived to tell the tale. So. And it's all on video, so clearly it's not something that a tall tale he's telling his mates, or just to get.
Well, that's the thing. No one would have believed him if he didn't record that, and he came back. Oh, guess what happened today? Wing foiling.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, first of all, what the hell is wing foiling? And then secondly, they'd have said, we don't believe you, mate.
Yeah. I guess some guys might be a little bit kind of crude and think that he might have got hit by a large woman or something. I'm not saying that, but he literally got hit by a humpback whale.
They might have thought he said, I just hit a whale. In which case, it's I hit. I got with a whale.
Oh, right.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, yes. With the lads, with the boys.
Yeah, with the boys. That sort of laddish banter that we do not endorse.
No, we frown upon it, to be honest, don't we, Chris? Yeah.
We do.
But we're just saying that these things happen, and we should stamp it out if we hear it.
Yeah.
But yeah, a 55-year-old, and it's not something that you kind of hear every day, right? You get hit by a whale.
I've never heard anyone say that.
But in Australia, I feel like animals are just really... You've got to be careful in Australia. There's so many things that can kill you.
This is one of the reasons why I don't fancy living down there, Tony. It's that's... Okay, we talked about it. If there's one good thing about living in the UK, I think it's quite safe in terms of, the weather's fairly moderate. I know we had Storm Babot a couple of weeks ago, but that's about as bad as it gets. In terms of the wildlife... Yeah, you got some fairly harmless snakes, and after that, how bad does it get? Badgers, wolves have gone. Foxes, I guess they can be pests, but
nothing that's poisonous, really, isn't it?
No.
Yeah. But yeah, that's that's just sounds like another story out of Australia of some type of animal kind of hurting a human. The next one I had was the number 3.
Oh.
So this involved a woman jailed after touching...
What? 3?
Oh, no.
Oh, right.
Touching a city parking meter.
What? So, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you just said woman banned from touching 3.
Oh, no, nothing to do with children.
No.
But basically, like
We're not
you said,
covering Philip Schofield this week.
No. I know.
Allegedly, I take that back. I take that back.
We've already covered Epstein.
Yes. And that one is confirmed. Phillips, I'm just saying on the record, I take back what I just said about Philip Schofield.
But yes, basically, this Jade Johnson was banned from touching parking meters across Merseyside. So Jade Johnson was given a 3-year banning order last month.
What does this mean?
At Liverpool Magistrate. So basically, she's just been found touching parking meters, and it sounds a bit of a weird story.
Yeah.
But,
is it like a fetish thing, or is it?
That's what I thought. But apparently, she's been attempting to steal money from parking meters as well.
But how much money would you? Don't people normally pay by card?
That's what I'm thinking. Do people in like Liverpool, Merseyside, still pay by pound coins or something? But yeah, so she's been banned for 3 years. I don't know if you think that's a bit harsh. We're trying to take some.
But all what's she been banned?
Touching parking meters.
I don't think that's harsh. I really couldn't care less if I were banned. Can't she still pay online? Most of them have.
I don't think she
pay
has
on your phone.
I don't think she has a car. She's just one of those.
Right.
Okay. I'm not sure if she's actually homeless, but she's clearly not doing well.
This is the weirdest story I've ever heard. Oh, here we go.
Oh, look. She looks like she's on drugs. Yeah. Clearly.
Well, we would allege.
Alleged drugs. So she's literally been banned from touching kind of parking meters. And that's the first story I've ever heard about.
I've never heard of that. I love the first sentence. A woman banned from touching parking meters was jailed after being caught engaging with a machine in the city centre. But yeah, I thought that was quite funny. And not something that you hear every day, Chris. Absolutely not.
So number 3. So 3 years.
3.
So they're going to be keeping our eyes out for her so she doesn't get anywhere near parking meters.
We've got a good spread of numbers so far. And I want to continue that. I'm going to go with the number 30, Tony. So we talk about winning the lottery and we talked about there are actually other ways to make money, and we've spoken at length about some of them, and we don't endorse in any way, shape or form fraudulent ways of doing it.
Oh, definitely not.
We acknowledge that some people do engage in that. So listen to this. So a trainee NHS doctor collected almost £10,000 in sick pay while also working 2 other jobs between 2 hospitals 160 miles apart.
Whoa.
Right. Tracy Landu, 30, was a GP who took sick pay between August and December 2020, but at the same time, she was doing shifts at 2 other hospitals. She admitted taking the money and lying to an HR official who questioned her being off sick, but she said that she had been suffering from stress due to recent life events. So she's 30 years old. So that is extraordinary. I think the thing that makes it really bad is she was working for the NHS. Well, so it's a weird one because, in a way, you'd think if you had somebody working shifts at two different hospitals, two separate hospitals, 160 miles apart, you'd be like, oh, wow, well done. Well done. Props to you. But at the same time, pretending she was off sick from her GP job, trainee NHS doctor, and defrauding our National Health Service, Tony, of almost £10,000 that we as taxpayers fund the system with.
I'm just quite annoyed because the NHS is already hemorrhaging money.
It is.
This stuff is happening.
It is.
That is shocking.
It is despicable. But by the way, she's been allowed to keep her job.
Well, we do need more doctors,
We need all that.
So fair play.
Fair play. All right, so that's number 30. And I've got another one, and I think this is something that we need to learn from, Tony, which is...
Ears are open.
Virginia man loses $1.5 billion by changing his Powerball numbers. But there's a silver lining. I should have said, do you want the good news or the bad news? That was the bad news. There is some good news. He still became a millionaire. So basically what happened here was that this Virginia man played the Powerball, which is basically the lottery in the US. Mm-hmm. And he changed what was actually the Powerball, which I guess is a bit like the bonus ball in the UK. And he actually changed the Powerball from his usual number, which is 14, to 19. And that's what meant that he actually lost it. So this guy, a total fool. Carlos Gutierrez of Centerville. So he made a stop at Lee's Sandwiches in Falls Church to order coffee and a chicken sandwich. Nice choice. While waiting for his order, he noticed a lottery machine and he bought a ticket for the October 9th Powerball draw. The next day, when he stopped at the same location on his way to work, the store was buzzing with excitement. A ticket bought had won $1 million in the previous night's draw. Maybe it's me, Gutierrez thought. And he was right. So he won the $1 million prize by matching the last 5 numbers on his ticket. The problem is, he then actually saw what the results were. And if he'd have stuck with 14 as the Powerball number, instead of winning $1 million, he'd have won $1.5 billion. And I think we've really spoken about this a lot. $1 million's not going to do you badly. But, 1.5, he's joining the Billionaires Club. Joining the Billionaires Club at that stage.
In America, they get taxed on, was it tax?
I think they do get taxed. So, $1 million, I don't know what the tax rates are exactly. He's going to lose a good chunk of that. 1.5 billion, it's just, that is set for life, isn't it? We were talking earlier about how much you're going to make off £10 million, but 1.5 billion.
It's dollars as well. So, in UK pounds, that's definitely less. You talk about what? Still 800 something, maybe near 900.
A good chunk, yeah.
I'm just thinking, he must be going through a roller coaster of emotions there. When he goes, yes, I've won $1 million. Oh crap! I could have had 1.5 billion.
In a way, it just, let's say you're his mate, and he hasn't really noticed the whole thing.
Yeah.
You wouldn't tell him, would you? Let's say had he not noticed, you try and stop him seeing.
I think friendship's all about based on honesty, and I want to tell him the truth.
Is it?
Yeah.
I need to restart my friendships.
But yeah, no, that is a great story in regards to the lottery. It's just one number can make such a big difference.
Do you think we need to sort of take that as a learning of stick to your gut instinct?
Yeah. So I'm not going to divert from these numbers every week. I'm not going to change from 14. I'm going to keep it as 14.
Yeah.
Okay, so on to our kind of our final number. which is number 37. And this came from something like we talked about last week.
Well, because, Tony, you were talking about your ideal day.
Yes.
Right, once you won the lottery. And I think there was a lot of food involved, which I'm down with that as well. And we said, I think you were saying you wanted a tasting menu lunch.
Yeah.
And we said, maybe just get fish and chips. And actually, at the time, we laughed at that idea. So you can't get tasting menu fish and chips. But I think you've actually found that there's something quite similar to that over at Harrods.
Yeah, obviously Harrods is known for being quite expensive.
I bet a lot of those dirty, dark, secret holding rich people shop at Harrods. And may he rest in peace, Mohammed Al-Fayed, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the home of shameful rich people.
Well, yeah, I mean, Harrods, I'm sure they'll take their custom. You know, it's like they're paying top pounds for stuff.
This is what, if I were a business owner, I'd take anyone's custom. Anybody can listen to this podcast.
Yeah, definitely. But Harrods, we know it's going to be expensive. As soon as I say Harrods, you go fish and chips, you're like, this is going to be crazy. But they've kind of teamed up with Tom Kerridge, and he's quite a well-known chef. Probably not as exciting as Heston, I would say.
They've got one thing in common.
What's that?
Well, two. They're both great chefs, and they're both bald.
Yeah, that, and they're doing quite well in the culinary world. But Tom Kerridge I think this is a bit pricey for fish and chips, and I do like fish and chips.
Okay, let's say, I mean, the cost of fish and chips has really gone up.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
I'm probably going back like 9 or 10 years when I first moved into London. Yeah. Proper London. I was living in Angel area.
Okay.
There's a local chippy called Mike's Chippy. And I could go in there and get small fish and chips for £4 or £4.50 or something. But now, in London, you're talking over a tenner, I think, for a lot of fish and chips. It's crazy.
Yeah, I've had fish and chips for a while, but you're right. It's probably like close to 10 quid.
So I'd say that's about right. I still think it's probably too much, but let's say a tenner's fine.
Well, what's the price of Tom Kerridge's one?
What's Tom Kerridge? Come on,
£37.
Oh.
And have you seen the portion of chips that comes with it? It's not that big. It looks like you get about 8 chips.
Oh my God.
But I'm pretty sure I saw a video a few years back of how he makes the chips. And he uses, it's a bit of a process.
Yeah.
He uses apple corer to make the chip.
Oh, yes.
And they use a certain type of potato. They go through a process of kind of boiling it and then frying it and then refrying it. So there is a bit of a thought and a process that happens.
It's not just deep fried potato.
No.
And I bet the fish is, catch though freshly caught early that morning.
But would you spend 37 quid
on a fish chip? As you say, like if it were a huge plate. Yeah, that's why I talk about the northeast. I go out there to visit. My grandma's up there, and we can get some fantastic fish in it. Nowhere near £37.
I wouldn't say it's ridiculous. It's expensive. If you go to a posh pub, you may even spend 18 to 20 quid for.
Oh my goodness, yeah, and I bet this is a hell of a lot nicer than a sort of Young's or Fuller's. Green King is the worst of the lot for food. If you go there, you're still talking 20 quid or something, and it's disgusting. So, when you compare it to that, Tony, maybe it's not so bad after all.
So it's not scaring me off, as they say.
Even on Halloween.
No. If I won the lottery, I'm gonna get that's my Friday fish and chips.
Fish supper.
Yeah. So
sorted.
I guess those are all the 6 numbers, but any emails that we had this week of trying to inspire us with numbers?
We are overloaded with emails once again, but I just wanted to touch on one in particular this week, Tony, which is Ola. And Ola's been in correspondence with the show for a number of weeks now, and there was an open question that she's just come back in touch on and confirmed on. So remember, Ola was the lady from Kraków in Poland, who many of our listeners will remember, who said, and we just loved this, she said if she won the lottery, she would open an animal shelter. And that was so far off anything we'd said. We were more, secrets of the rich and famous kind of style. But We thought that was really nice. But then we said, well, okay, if you had to prioritise animals, which ones would you prioritise?
Yeah.
She came back, she said, actually, this animal shelter is only for dogs.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Then you actually said, Tony, well, hang on, what about these American XL bully dogs that are being banned in the UK after a spate of recent attacks?
What about those bedbug sniffer dogs she might be breeding?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Ola emailed back in and she said, well, listen, she wrote a really long message, but I'm just going to paraphrase. So she essentially said it's usually the owner's fault. There should be a test for dog owners.
Okay.
And I sort of see this fit and proper dog owners test.
Yeah.
And actually, when I was speaking to my girlfriend about this, that's what she said as well. Why not kind of put some regulations or standards in place before you become a dog owner? You have in the Premier League, if you want to buy a club, you have that fit and proper owners test.
Oh,
Why not have that for dog owners? Why not? And that's one of the things. Let's start clamping down. I know we've said, Tony, we're a bit more like, well, do you ever see a poodle ripping in someone? But Ola said, well,
definitely not.
People sort of get the wrong idea about these particular type of dog. It attracts owners who want a certain style of dog, and maybe that's where the correlation is. So I think she's onto a bit of a point here of, let's have a fit and proper dog owners test. We can extend that out maybe for cats as well.
I think that would help the situation.
Yeah.
To make sure you've got an owner that actually knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they're not kind of treating a dog in a way that the dog doesn't know any better and starts attacking.
And maybe social services for dogs.
Yeah. I think that's a great thing. It's a good one, Ola. I think that's a good one.
She's certainly got some really good ideas when it comes to this animal shelter that or really we should call it a dog shelter that she's putting up.
Brilliant. So if I go through what are the numbers that I'm going to be buying this week, so it's 3, 10, 14, 30, 37, and 55. So yeah, those are kind of the Halloween-themed numbers.
They're spooktacular. I don't want to say they're frightening because I think we're going to win. They're spooktacular.
Yeah, and when that quote when it says, "On the other side of fear is what you'll achieve what you really want."
Are you scared right now?
I'm thinking these numbers, and the theme is about fear, but on the other side, it could be the winning lottery numbers.
I'm terrified right now. So, yeah, I think on the other side of this draw, we are going to be multi-millionaires.
Yeah, and I think, if anyone that does knock on the door, who knows, they might get a $5 sort of
Absolutely.
piece of candy. So all I would say is that if you are trick-or-treating, stay safe.
Stay safe. Follow the fire safety standards in any block of flats that you might enter.
Yeah, and obviously don't accept kind of candies from strangers. Well, no, that's what they do.
That's the whole point of it.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah. I mean, maybe you can accept candies from strangers on Halloween, but not
on any other day. But you're making me wonder now. Yeah, but you are making me wonder now because is this whole thing safe?
Maybe
Kids are just wandering door to door and taking any old sweets that somebody gives them. What if somebody says to the kids, "Oh, just come back in here and I'll show you my Cadbury's finger"?
Well, who knows? How did Epstein get all those kids? Was Halloween a big day for him to start? I am just saying that we've got to be careful with these things. So kids are going missing. There's like trafficking going on. Where are the opportunities that are about? Halloween seems a prime opportunity for these criminals to start snatching kids. That's what I'm saying.
Come and have a look at my Kit Kat chunky. That's the sort of thing we want to avoid.
Exactly, Chris. And I'll just say, if you're trick-or-treat, go with your parents, go with a group. That's it. So happy Halloween, everyone. And we'll see you next time for
Win Me the Lottery.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.